And then they were talking about people on the set would show like pornos, and these are grown-ass 30-year-old men and women.
Showing this to the kids.
16, 17, 15, 14-year-old kids. I had to stay inside of Kel's dressing room for most of the time because I was being harassed.
At this point, we all know that Nickelodeon is disgusting, and with people like Dan Schneider, it's hard not to get in trouble. Once upon a time, there was a show called All That starred an actor named Kel Mitchell, and we've learned some things from Kel because his ex-wife has spoken out. She claims that she has witnessed some foul behavior, like cast members giving producers blowjobs and some cast members washing Dan Schneider's car in a bikini. So Kel has been featured on a few Nickelodeon shows like Kenan and Kel. We've got All That, Game Shakers, and something called Good Burger. I'm not entirely sure what that's about, but All That was out from 1994 through 2005. And Kel was married to Taisha Hampton during the years 1999 and 2005. So when she claims that she witnessed some of these horrific things, I mean, I kind of believe her. I want to give a huge shout out to this YouTube channel, Night and Day Network. They actually interviewed Taisha and they got this information. So I will link the original interview and their channel below. Now let's get into what we've learned from Taisha, because she claims that these shows from Nickelodeon were filmed in Orlando, Florida. And the reason why they were filmed in Orlando was because there are no child labor laws in Florida. Adults can do whatever they want to these children, which is frightening. And you know, even though I do love Florida, Florida's a little bit backwards.
Crazy sick shit that went on at Nickelodeon.
Have I heard about it?
You know, like with the all that shit.
Have I heard about it? Yeah, I know about it.
Have you seen anything like have any of them been involved in any of that? Because let's hear about some of that.
Oh my lord! Oh my gosh! Okay.
Yeah, when you come to this channel, that's the shit you gotta talk about.
Let's talk about it. So the reason why the TV shows and Nickelodeon shows were filmed in Florida were because Florida had no child labor laws. I mean, how people didn't know this? I don't know. Like, who would send their kids to a state with no child labor laws and their child is working? Like, who does this? And these parents, like Kel's parents, were not with him.
As you guys know, in the past, I've spoken to other child actors like Alexa Nicholas, and in her case, her mother was pretty much always with her, or they had some type of chaperone, but it sounds like it was really unregulated in Florida, which I guess makes sense if you're trying to run a business that is sketchy like this. And something that I found super sketchy that Taisha shared was that the adults on set would be showing kids inappropriate films along with giving them drinks at parties. Many of the producers on set would talk about group interactions between adults who are consenting.
And then they were talking about and they were talking about like people on the set would show like pornos and they'd give us alcohol.
Those were kids, like young kids on that set.
Yeah, these are grown-ass 30-year-old men and women.
Showing this to the kids.
16, 17, 15, 14-year-old kids.
Yeah, because, I mean, the show All That, they were all kids at that time, like young kids.
This was the normal on this dysfunctional set of All That. So this is happening all around young children. And I do want to give a shout out to my friend Obiscure Nickelodeon because they put together this thread that has a bunch of these clips. So I will link everything below along with their YouTube channel. Taisha claims that she and Kel would go to clubs they weren't legally allowed to go in because the people on the Nickelodeon set would make them fake IDs. I don't understand what type of adult would, first off, why do we want these children to go to the club? And then second off, like, why does an adult want a child to go to the club? I don't want to see any children when I'm out at the club.
But Kel told me that, like, because we would get into clubs and we were young, like 16, 17 years old, and we'd be in clubs. And the people on the set in Florida made us fake IDs.
I really do believe what Taisha is saying here because, I mean, they were a couple for a long time. And if you think about long-term relationships, or if you personally have a long-term partner, you kind of tell them everything, especially these like horrific stories that you hear because you need someone to vent to. At one point, Taisha talks about one of the girls on the set of All That, and she was 15, 16 years old, and she would go and clean Dan Schneider's car with a bikini on.
All That, I've seen them one girl in particular, and I'm not going to name who she is, but anyway, she was on the cast of all that.
Amanda Bynes?
Not Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was really young. She was like 9 years old, but her dad dad was present, and her mom was pretty present. No, but another one of the cast members was like cleaning Dan Schneider's car with a bikini on. And now this time she had been 15, 16 years old. There were other times they would have like parties where the parents wouldn't be there, and they'd give us alcohol. And another one of the people on the cast was giving blowjobs to the producers.
Wow, one of the kids.
And they were kids.
She also mentions the talk of blowjobs, that there were like these actors giving producers like blowjobs. And she does clarify that she's not speaking about Amanda Bynes specifically, because you guys know Amanda Bynes has gone through a lot. Who really knows who she's speaking of? But these are horrific stories. You would think that this would be going down in Hollywood, because Hollywood's home to this evil entertainment industry, but this was all going down in Florida. And you guys know, if you've seen my previous videos, that Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon, they have a thing with feet. But she brings up the fact that they weren't only into feet, but also into cheese, and it's part of this whole conspiracy.
A couple of the producers, they I don't know if you guys have heard about with the Pizzagate, where they always talk about like cheese.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember on the shows, like they'd always talk about cheese and feet.
Yeah, you're right.
Cheese
they had a lot of that on there.
Yeah.
Cheese is little girls, and they'd be doing so much with cheese, and I'd be like, what the hell is this cheese about? I couldn't even understand it. Cheese and feet. Like he had a foot fetish and a little girl fetish.
That sounds so incredibly disturbing. And honestly, I'm like a little bit shocked that she's so comfortable speaking out about this, because it's not like she's like, I don't know, she's an actress herself, but she's not like working a ton. Like Cal is still working and he's not speaking out about these things. But she also tells a story which I find really just like damning, that when she was pregnant, they would still cross boundaries. The producers would ask her if they could put her breasts in their mouth, and that she was being harassed by these producers because she was pregnant, so she would stay in her husband's dressing room.
Hold him there. I mean, it was just, I had to stay inside of Kel's dressing room for most of the time because I was being harassed.
I want to say.
Oh, so they were turning them kids out.
Definitely.
Wow.
So you guys must be thinking to yourselves, how could anyone work in this environment? How does a work environment become so incredibly toxic like this? And it really goes back to the top. I mean, the people who decided to put this in Florida, and the people like Dan Schneider, who we've heard plenty about. There was actually a story that came out, and this person, Arthur, who used to work with Dan Schneider for 6 years, claims that Dan had a willful disregard for boundaries and workplace appropriateness. So this guy housed a very toxic and inappropriate environment, which led other producers to say like, oh, if my boss is doing this, then why can't I? So people need to respect other people's boundaries, especially in the workplace. And even though I would like to say things have improved from the 90s, and that's when a lot of this happened, it really hasn't. So I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Here is my email if you guys have any other video ideas for me, and I'll see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.